All right, we're gonna give this a go. This is a little find yourself before you walk series. Hi, Fever. You gonna hang out? Are you leaving? She's leaving. All right, so you need a resistance band. This is a pretty heavy one. I don't care what you use. You're gonna start on the floor. And we're just gonna articulate the spine and roll down and roll up again. So you want your legs to be about hip distance apart. You're pushing the balls of your feet into the band. You're gonna roll off your sit bones and articulate your spine down. I like to think of a centipede or a caterpillar or an inchworm that have segments. As I roll down, I try to get those little vertebral segments on the ground one at a time. When I reach the ground, you can lengthen your spine with your breath and feel it in the mat. If you're having a hard time getting your butt out of the way, bend your knees a little bit, see if that helps and allows you to get a little more posterior pelvic tilt. And then roll up and think about shooting your nose to your toes. So the band helps you by engaging your lats and getting that as part of the movement. So don't pull up, just lift up and see how that helps kind of connect in there. Once you don't need the band anymore, you're just imagining that there's something right here that you're rolling around so you keep that good C curve in your spine. So that's the roll up. You can do about 4 of those. And then keep a hold of your band or grab it again. If you have a hard time finding lumbar flexion, you can put, suppose I could have that on hand. You put a ball, a blanket, a pillow, something right up against your sacrum, and then roll onto it so that you can kind of lean into it. So think about trying to get your belly button on the ball. And that will keep your spine and lumbar flexion, which unless you have a pathology that says you shouldn't be doing that, is super helpful. So you're gonna smush into the ball or just smush into the air, keep that lumbar flexion. Your knees can be bent, you're pushing into the band, and you're going to twist. So you can bend an elbow and make it kind of a row, but really it's oblique exercise. So you're thinking about the movement coming from your rib cage, your thoracic spine, instead of your lumbar spine, which is staying steady. If you're having a hard time keeping it steady, use the ball and really smush into it. You can also do this without the band and just find that curve, and you can come up, come to the middle, come to the side, but just make sure that you're not doing it from your back. So you should feel that your front is engaged, your back might be helping to support, but it's not the thing that's making the action happen. If you have a hard time figuring that out, you can take it to the floor and then tuck your chin, lift, and twist, and think about keeping contact into the floor with your lumbar spine. So whatever, like that, that's not tabletop. I can see myself. All right, so however you can safely get your obliques on, do that. Twisting is the key. Twisting is also a big part of walking, so it's good to know how to do that. All right, so I also don't have block, which I need. If you have a yoga block, you can use that. If you have a ball, you can use that. If you have a blanket or a pillow, all of that works. We're gonna do a bridge. And I don't care about high bridges, I care about safe bridges. And the connection that you get. So you don't need to go into a high bridge to get out of this exercise what we want to get out of this exercise. Put something between your legs just above your knee and make sure that the width of it gets your legs to line up. So you don't want to be in here, you don't want to be out here, and you don't want this to be bigger or smaller than having your legs in line with your hips. So it's needs to be that big, right? So yeah, you get it. Okay, so to start your bridge, your feet should be close to your butt. You're lightly squeezing whatever you found to put in between your legs. And you're gonna smush your rib cage into the mat and engage your core. So as if there's something here that you're pressing up into. So that turns on first, and your pelvis and rib cage become one solid thing that lifts together so that you're not arching your back, you're keeping it neutral. So it doesn't have to be, see that's not, I've got a fist and a half off the ground. It doesn't have to be big. You want to think about lengthening up in the front, squeezing your glutes, and engaging your legs down into the ground. So all of that is pushing into your feet. Your legs are pushing together, and that should help you really engage your butt because that's what we're isolating here. So you can just go up and down in that a couple times and really think about minimizing the movement in your spine and just focusing on engaging your legs. As much of your legs as you can get involved. So do that, 4 times, hold for a few seconds at the top. And then grab your band again, and we're gonna do a little leg and ankle mobility. So one foot goes in the strap around the ball of your foot and your toes if they're small enough. Sorry, large-footed people. And you're gonna bring your leg up. Think about pressing your other foot into the ground. That knee is bent. And your leg can be wherever it feels like your pelvis is stable and smushed into the mat and your knee is straight. So it doesn't need to be hyperextended and it shouldn't be bent. So if you can't fully extend your leg here, you can probably do it here. Find the space that's comfortable for you to do that, and this is where we're gonna stay for a minute. Put your elbows on the ground so you're not straining your shoulders to have tension in the band. You're gonna point and flex your foot. So try to get it to flex your toes towards your nose and the ceiling. Get as much flexion and extension as you can. I like to do 8, 8, and 8. So point and flex for 8. And then you're gonna go pinky toe to the ceiling. See if you can see this. So I'm starting in a flexed foot. I start to point my foot and lead with my pinky toe so that the knife hand side of my foot is towards the ceiling. So something like that. So you're just pointing and flexing, but you're coming at it from a different angle. Honestly, this band is too heavy for me. I can't keep my foot straight. But you're working the side of your calf. And then you're gonna go big toe side to the ceiling. So big toe is what leads the movement, and you're doing a kind of like inversion. Inversion and eversion, if that means anything to you. You want to do that on both sides. I'm going to do it on both sides just so I don't feel completely lopsided. So there's a lot of other things that we can do with the leg and the resistance band. I like to do some of that before I do walking exercises because it differentiates the pelvis from the leg bones. So we'll probably go, well, I've gone over it before, but you can do arcs and circles and knee bends. So you're just basically flexing, extending at the hip, flexing, extending at the knee, flexing, extending at the foot, so that you're creating that, oh yeah, all of these things do different movements and they all contribute to walking. So now we're going to stand up and see if we did enough that we can actually feel what's happening in our body. So you can stand on a mat or on the floor, it doesn't really matter. For me, it is helpful to have my heels either touching or really close together and my toes slightly apart. It just helps me connect the outside and the inside and zip up the middle. I want you to think about evenly weighting the heels of your feet, your big toe, and your pinky toe. And then almost smush all those three parts of the tripod down into the mat and lift up your arch. So you're thinking about connecting into the ground with those 3 points of your feet. And as you do that, you should feel that your glutes kind of turn on. And so we're trying to find connection from the grounding in our feet all the way up to the top of our head if we can do it. But you should, just standing here and feeling your legs supporting you, your glutes are on, your inner thighs, everything kind of just lightly is engaged. And that should translate up into your core as well, so you can feel like you are standing tall, whatever. And I talked all this time, I mean I talked too much in all of these, but because I want you to sit in this for a minute and let it happen. So don't just stand and go, oh yeah, I can feel my glutes, and then carry on. Like, give it a minute and see what happens. And after 30 seconds to a minute, you should, feel a lot more connected. Okay, so once that happens, then you can move to kind of simulated walking. This is what I call it. So get a block, and you can see my foot. You're gonna stand close enough that when you have one foot on the ground and one foot on the block, you can still shore up your hips. So you can think tall, strong, steady, and your legs fit in the hip socket without any of this weird shit. Okay? So you're going to weight transfer from your back leg, which is holding pretty much all of your weight, to your front leg, which is on the block, and think about heel, pinky toe, big toe, weight transfer, get it in your glutes on this side, okay? As you step through, you have to bend this knee to get to the ground. Don't use your hips to get you there. So you want your hips to stay steady, you bend your knee to find the ground in front of you, and then you go back. So you think about weight shifting again, the weight is here, we shift back, and then we come through. I'll try to do that without my knee going. So muscle imbalances, yay. All right, so try to do this, and if you can, do it in front of a mirror or a camera like I'm doing it so you can see all the weird shit that you do when you're trying to walk. So ideally, you want everything to stay lined up, and you're using the flexion in your ankle, good thing we did that first, and your knee to get you from point A to point B. So, and you're using your glutes to stabilize that movement so that your pelvis doesn't have to be all wonky. So you're just swinging your leg through like you would do if you were walking, and feeling the weight shift happening, and your glutes catching that weight shift as it's happening. So if this is really unstable and hard to do, then you need to look at where that's coming from. Is the instability in your foot, knee, hips, spine, whatever, and then you can break that down and strengthen, stabilize, mobilize what needs to be done to do good walking. Do good walking. All right, so last but not least is rolling to stand. So I'm gonna try this on here and see how it works. If you have a chair, which most people, that's gonna be the thing that you have at home, a chair works great. You're gonna do a sit to stand. So basically, get into the chair, get out of the chair. We're gonna try to bring the core into it a little bit. So to sit well, I don't know. Think about counterbalance. So as your butt goes back, your chest goes forward to counterbalance. So if you want to protect your spine, you want it to stay straight. So as you bend your knees and find a flat spine and an engaged core so that you can get to your seat using those things and not getting into your low back, not being super articulate right now. Okay, so to turn on our core again and then find our feet, we're gonna roll back and find a sticking point? I don't know. Balance, a balance spot. So you're in that C curve like we found when we were rolling up and twisting. And you're gonna kind of keep that until you can straighten it out. So you roll forward and everything stays. So you're in the same shape this whole time. And if you keep that and keep your core engaged, it's gonna protect your spine a little bit. So when you get your feet on the ground, is when you can come upright. And then you're going to plant your feet and wait until your weight is over your legs to stand. So you're just gonna bring your weight forward until you're on your legs, and then straighten up your legs and think about them driving into the ground. So this is about how it looks. So you're finding that core engagement with your rolling, with spinal flexion, and then getting on top of your legs, just pressing down. So I find that helps me connect into the ground. It helps me differentiate my pelvis from my leg movement, and it keeps this whole cylinder involved, which can help you avoid back pain. If you're having problems with pain in your hips or low back and the flexion exacerbates it, then you just want to do everything that we did in a hinge. So you're not going to roll down. You're just going to find your hinge and keep that. Or do a plank or something like that where your spine can stay neutral. So that's it. I don't know if I gave all of the things. 4 roll-ups, 30 seconds-ish of twisting. Bridge, 4 of them hold for at least 4 seconds at the top. 8, 8, and 8 for your ankle flexion extension. Pinky toe side and big toe side. And then find your glutes for at least 30 seconds to a minute. Walk through 8 each leg. I didn't count, but it seems good to me. And then rolling to stand 4 times. Do you catch a theme with the numbers that I like? Really, it doesn't matter exactly how long you do it. But this is to just get everything woken up. It's not to fatigue anything. So if you're feeling like you can only do 2 roll-ups, then just do 2 roll-ups and don't push yourself past that point, because the whole idea is not, we're not going to failure in this, we're just trying to get things on so that you can be more aware of your body when you're walking. Okie dokie, that's that. Good luck and send me your comments.